People deluded. I'm back again. Now, for me, well, not even for me. We know we need a centre half. For me, in the summer, the first thing you do is sort out this defense. Sorry, people. Regardless of it, regardless of if you want to get rid of players first or you want to bring in a good centre half. That's what needs to be done. We tried to bring in an additional centre half last year. It didn't work. Unai Emery said he needed a centre half in January. It didn't happen. There's a lot of question marks over a lot of people in regards to our defence, and I feel decisions have to be made because we've got a lot of depth on one hand, but there's not really a lot of quality. So I've got some bullet points if you see me looking at this. This is just to help me remember what I'm saying. So firstly, you've got to look at, we'll get into it, but you've got Callum Chambers. I think a realistic chat, if I was the manager, a realistic chat needs to happen. I do believe Callum Chambers and Bielik, they could be used in our squad because you look at Bielik, centre-half and defensive mid. If I'm a manager, and assuming we're in the Europa League next year, the amount of games we're going to play in that, 38 Premier League games alone, then you've got the Yarabao, the FA Cup and so forth, depending on how far you go in them competitions. There's a lot of football to be played. I believe you need minimum 4 centre-halves in the squad, possibly 5, because of the depth. But Chambers, first and foremost, realistic chat would happen. He's been excelling in midfield. He can play at centre-half. At needs be, he could play right-back. He'd probably be a better right-back than Lichtsteiner. But Chambers has been stressed out at right-back, and that's not his thing. If we remember what Montero did to him a few years ago. But a realistic chat. He signed a new deal. He was talked up by Unai Emery, similar to Ozu and Ramsey. And to be honest, that could be the sign that they're getting rubbed out, to be honest. Realistic chat has to happen. Is he going to feature in plans? Realistically, if he stays at Arsenal, does he have the chance to play, or do you consider him a starting option on the weekend, as you do with Holding before the injury, and Sokratis and Mustafi and these things? Because if not, he needs to move on, and we need to be getting 20 million or so for him, because he's at the age. If I'm him, having played football at Middlesbrough and played football at Fulham, came back to Arsenal, and I think he'd done all right here last season against Atletico and Chelsea and United, but injuries and not really getting a look in. You're at the age you need to play football now. He really needs to just, not even that, you just want to be able to play week in, week out and have a bit of stability. Bielik as well, he's playing in League 2 on loan. I like Bielik, but until you give him a chance, you're not sure of his level. On loan in League 1 with Charlton, there's a lot of options. Are we going to bring him in? He came here at 16 or whatever, hasn't had a look in. He's made his appearance and stuff, but hasn't had a look in. He said he didn't have any talks with Unai Emery last season, last August. But yeah, now you've got the more experienced players. Mustafi, I've put next to him equals done. He's done. There's no way around it unless a miracle happens and he gets some run of form or transforms overnight. Mustafi's done. I'd keep Koscielny. I mean, he could probably be the 5th defender I'm talking about using squad capacity. But by that same token, he has spoken of wanting a new challenge historically and possibly returning to France for his career is done. He might do that at the end of his contract in 2020, which he's got just over a year now. But he might, if he wants to leave, or I think we need to have the chat that he can be a member, but I wouldn't start him next season, and he wouldn't be a starter for me unless a miracle happened. We need to have that realistic chat, and if he deems he wants to move on or wants to return to France, then there's that. Also feel the likes of Medley, in my opinion, could be afforded to stay on loan. To go out on loan. Equally, could learn just by staying in the under-23s to the end of next season, or just being around Unai Emery and training with the first team. Equally, I think he'd benefit from a loan spell because I think he's a good player, but I feel a lot of his strengths at the moment are with bringing the ball out from the back and a lot of modern-day defending, not necessarily defensive aspects. I do think he would learn greatly playing against more experienced individuals because he'd have to improve his positioning. And I don't feel he'll be considered a genuine option as yet in regards to starting at centre-half. The decision needs to be done on him. Mavropanos, now I would be playing him this season and I'll be playing him next season, but last season he came to the club from Greece, fair enough, he needs to adapt to this level, spoke on going on loan, stayed, played a couple of games, but realistically not a lot of games to really improve or make any real good performances. And if you see him get sent off against Leicester and you compare that with his great performance at Old Trafford, he still needs to bring consistency into his game. Now, ironically, if he wasn't injured himself, he would have got a lot more minutes, but he was victim to injury with a groin strain, been subject to the majority of his appearances so far under 23 level, got 12 minutes in the Premier League or whoever he came on against, I can't remember who, not been named in the Europa League side, so this would be the second season he's missed out on a lot of football, in which last season he could have went on loan, even this season. So next season I think he needs to play, because that would be the 3rd year he doesn't get any football. Is he going to play here? Realistically, are you going to give him a chance, Unai Emery, or does it be deemed that he goes out on loan? Because he wasn't named in the Europa League side either. there's a lot of injuries with our side already, and there's a lot of football to be played. So for me, I think Unai Emery likes him, but that could be a case of you don't necessarily rate him, because you're looking at the Europa League side: Monreal, Mustafi, Koscielny, Sokratis, Medley technically can play as well. And El Nene would probably be used at centre, or has been used at centre half. Was probably considered a better option at centre half, at least for this campaign, than Mavropanos, really, because at least in the Europa League competition. So a decision needs to be made. Is he realistically going to be given a chance next season, or is he going to go out on loan? Obviously, you got below that, you got the likes of Ben Shafe and Peglow. So they probably need to be moved on. I feel they could do a decent job as squad players and utility men, but for them, they probably need to go away and play football and make some inroads in their careers, really and truly, if I'm honest with you. So what was I going to say as well? So there, I'm looking at it now, and then you've obviously got Rob Holding. We can't forget about him, but then I've put it down now, people. I'm looking at my options for centre half. If I compare my own logic, my options would be Sokratis would be my guy, at least until he falls off. So Sokratis would be in my plans. You lot know I love Rob Holding. That's 2. This new centre half that I'm speaking of, that I want to come into the club, that's 3. Mavropanos, that's 4. Who else is there? Koscielny would be used as the 5th centre half. That's 5. So that's 5 centre halves already that I'm saying, people. That's without obviously talking about Mustafi. Obviously as well, Monreal would probably be my 6th centre half, because as well as left back, I know his career ends in 2020 here on paper, anyways. But he would be used. Him and Koscielny to a degree could be used in squad capacities, or if need be at centre half. So by my own logic, how much would Callum Chambers and I keep calling him Nico Bilic, Christian Bilic feature in this side? And that's why I said it's a difficult conversation, because I do believe Bilic and Chambers, if you give them a chance, they might be able to say something. And especially, I feel Bilic could give us something. He can play at centre half, he can play in midfield, and he can bring out the ball. With playing 3 at the back and things like that, Bilic could be used as well, in my opinion, for depth purposes. He's probably, in terms of breaking down play, he's not similar to Torreira, but that's a skill set him and Torreira share. So they could be used in games. Just someone of that capacity could be used in games together to help us be a bit more tigerish. One could be used instead of the other. Chambers has done all right in midfield, so that presents an option. So yeah, it remains to be seen whether them lot will be used, but yeah, big decisions need to happen, but that's the people I would be moving with at centre halves. And I feel the first thing we need to do is improve that defence, or that's the first thing. I know we need wingers, we probably need another midfielder, we need creativity, we need style of play, we need this, we need that, we need the third. But for me, these sort of things start with the defence. You start with the back 5, including the keeper. You get that right, you get a lot of things right, because you've seen sides that should be relegated, their defence has saved them. You've seen teams that shouldn't win anything, their defence has saved them. Defence wins titles. Players win matches, defences win titles, in my opinion anyway. But that's what I would do, man. There's a lot of, like I said, even me, that's a lot of depth. So even when I said Callum Chambers and Bilic, I've said myself, Koscielny and Monreal, that's 2 players that, if they wait another year, these spots will free up. But would you want to wait another year? Would you do you think you can? Are you going to be considered a realistic option ahead of them by Unai Emery? I'm not too sure. Both are declining clearly, but yeah, at this moment in time, this is what I'll be running with, people. Maybe even buy 2 centre halves, but I just would like that 1 centre half of quality, people, man. I think we've taken too many shortcuts in regards to signings, and it showed. But people, as you can see, I'm getting tired, deluded. I'm out, man. Thank you for watching and rocking.